Alrighty. Well, CFP reaction. Let's go over this, Ben. And I know we said last week we were going to dive into this once we knew what was going on, and boy, do we know what's going on here. I would like to highlight the things that we both got right and the things that we possibly both got wrong. I'm going to start with this. When I uploaded the Alabama video, we obviously here on the podcast, all of you guys that listen to the podcast, all, nearly 30 of you per episode, shout out to y'all. Nobody really had anything to say about Alabama until I posted the TikTok and the Instagram, and that's when they all came out of the woodworks to tell me, you're an idiot for saying that Alabama is going to be in regardless. All right, well, I said, and what I said was that they are the number one ranked SEC team. They're not the number one ranked overall SEC team, like in the overall rankings, but in SEC's rankings, Alabama was number one. They weren't about to go into this game and be penalized for being the number one SEC team in the national in the SEC championship game. And even if they lose, even if they got dog walked, I knew they were going to still be in. That they're not going to punish the two biggest conference champions, the two biggest conference teams, the SEC and the Big Ten. We're not about to be punished. Okay, that's not Big Ten bias. That's not SEC bias. Those are the two biggest leagues, the two biggest conferences in college football. Those teams will never be penalized for being in their conference championship game. Ben, I was wrong. I said Ole Miss. I thought more than likely they were going to be out. And you said, actually, no, they will not, because they hired their coach literally day of. I don't even think they moved in the rankings. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think before the bracket came out, they were 6. This bracket comes out, they were 6.
Mm-hmm.
And so you were correct about Ole Miss. I was correct about Alabama. We had our thoughts on a 12-team or 16-team playoff, and 16-team playoff, and we can get to that here in a second. But Ben, what was your overall thoughts of the bracket when you're watching at home the selection show? And we'll just go back and forth here. What was maybe something that shocked you, but overall your thoughts of how this committee handled this?
Well, I'd say probably the thing that shocked me was Miami getting over Notre Dame, which I agree with. I mean, I think if you have a similar record like that, you got to go to the head to head. I think that's only fair. So I mean, I'm not really shocked at that. I'm shocked that they ranked Notre Dame last week, and then both teams didn't play, and then Miami jumps ahead of them. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. I mean, everything else, I think the surprising thing was, okay, I take that back. The most surprising is probably Bama staying in. It's come down to you lose to a Florida State team, an abysmal Florida State team. You lose to Oklahoma, and then you lose to Georgia in the SEC championship. Georgia, Oklahoma, playoff teams right there. They're good. Playoff rematch, Alabama and Oklahoma. But then you have BYU, 2 losses. 2 losses to the number 3 ranked team in the country. Arguably, someone could say the best team in the country. Again, I probably wouldn't have them ranked number 1, but they're definitely there.
Texas Tech?
So yeah. Okay. And so I'm kind of shocked that you put a 3-loss team, even though we were saying it. We think, depending on the outcome of the championship games, if BYU and excuse me, I'm drawing up a blank. If Bama loses, are they going to be in? Do you put a 3-loss team, which has never happened before, a 3-loss team into the playoff? And apparently we found our answer to that because, this isn't the Bama that we saw. They played horrible, -3 rushing yards. Against Georgia, almost lost to Auburn. But, that's not typical Bama, though. And I hate that. It's like, it's not typical of them. It's like, hey, we got to see what we look at on the screen. And on the screen, Bama did not look like a playoff team the last 2 weeks. I would have liked to see maybe Notre Dame, Vandy, or again, BYU to go into that, because it just sucks that you punish the team. You essentially don't punish Bama for losing in their championship, and you keep them at 9. They were at 9 to begin with, and then they stayed at 9.
Yeah,
I think that's the big issue here as well.
Okay, yeah, I would say to that, and then we'll keep going here, but I would say to that, I agree with the BYU premise, okay, but I want to say this about Alabama. They beat, you listed their games, you left one out. They beat Georgia in Athens, okay? They came to Athens earlier in the season. not even that long ago, and they beat Georgia in Athens. They beat UGA on UGA's turf. Now, yes, in a supposedly neutral field, but, it is still Atlanta. But in a neutral field, for those not watching, I've got air quotes here. They come in and, yes, they get dog walked. And if it wasn't for the ref helping out with a block on that lowly touchdown that Alabama got, they may have dropped a goose egg. We don't know. But either way, we know that Alabama's resume. Yes, they're a 3-loss team, but they beat Georgia in Athens. Yes, they lost in the SEC championship game, but until college football's process to the playoff changes, and what I mean by that is this. I believe I said it in last week's episode. If not, I'm definitely going to say it now. This is how the college football playoffs should work. You have your college football championship game. So you got the Big 12, Big 10, SEC, ACC. Okay, you've got those 4 conferences, and whether you like it or not, SEC and Big 10 are the 2 biggest conferences in college football. Those championship teams do not get taken out. Now, I believe the Big 12 as well, especially this season. Neither one of those teams should have been left out of the playoffs. That's kind of my only, I don't even want to say gripe. It's my only thing that's kind of like a somewhat of an issue that's a non-issue, but an issue. But either way, those 6 teams bare minimum, because the ACC always finds a way to ACC themselves, I would say those 6 teams bare minimum should be a lock for the playoffs if you make it to the Big 12, Big 10, and SEC championship game. ACC, we can get to them later. Every other team should have some sort of play-in game the same weekend that the championship games are taking place. Ole Miss and Texas A&M should not have been allowed to sit back and be at home and wait to see what happens with the SEC championship game. Notre Dame and Miami shouldn't have been waiting at home. No. We need to have play-in games. Oklahoma, go play Texas. Tulane, go play Oregon. JMU, go play, not Alabama, but go play Miami. Notre Dame, go play, Ole Miss, whatever it is, right? Have all these teams that are on the outside looking in playing each other. That way you've got the other 5 or 6 teams that make up the 12-team playoff, and there's no question, hey, listen, as of right now, not as of week 1 when Miami beat Notre Dame, as of right now, not as of whatever week it was that Texas and Oklahoma, as of right now, these teams just played. They played their way into the playoffs. This is the 12 teams that deserve it. Now, that being said, Alabama being put in, we knew it was going to happen. They're the number 1 SEC team. They're not going to be penalized for being the best SEC team, quote unquote, air quotes, by SEC's standards, beating UGA and only having 1 conference loss before this SEC championship game. They weren't going to be penalized the way that the structure is set up right now. If you're upset with it, let's champion, let's banner, let's fight for the change to happen going into next season. And to the Notre Dame point, and we can talk about, actually, let's talk about the BYU point, and then we'll get into Notre Dame. To the BYU point, I agree. I don't think they should have been left out. I think Big 12 is right under the Big 10 and the SEC, and if we're going to view the Big 10 and the SEC the way that we do, the Big 12 is right there. BYU only, it's to your point, they only had 2 losses. But again, it's a gripe, non-gripe type of situation, because if all of us can just sit back to our 2 years ago selves when it was a 4-team playoff, none of us would be sitting here saying that the number 11 team got screwed, that they weren't in this position. Like, okay, they probably don't have a chance anyway to go all the way. So it's kind of one of those things for me anyway, where the top 8 schools right now in this 12-team format are like the legit 8 teams that deserve to be in. Anything after 8 is like, okay. Like, to me, I can say, yes, could Notre Dame have a say to be in? Sure. When we know that JMU is a 21-point underdog to Oregon. That is, what are we doing? Ben, what are we doing? When you've got 2 group of 5 schools in right now, which I said last week, and I was wrong. I'll admit it. I was wrong. I said to you were the one who said JMU and Tulane are going to be in this thing. And I said absolutely not. I said they will have Texas or Vanderbilt in before they have 2 group of 5 schools in. In my opinion, that maybe that's how it should have been. Maybe not those teams, but now we look at the spread. Oregon is a 3-touchdown favorite to JMU. How is that fun to watch? How is that fun to watch when you've got Notre Dame sitting at home? And then I want to talk about Notre Dame here. and I want to get what you have to say about the 2 group of 5 schools, Notre Dame. Notre Dame, listen, I respect the fact that you're independent and you don't want to have a conference championship game. You want to make your own schedule. You want to have your own rules. That's fine. But just know as an independent team, this could be the outcome every year. If you don't want to adhere to a conference, you don't want to have to fight in a conference game, and you just want to be on the outskirts looking in, the way you punch your ticket in is by getting that record equity, being 11-1 or 12-0. If that was the case, guess what? You would have been in this thing. But because you're independent, you're 10-2, and Miami already beat you earlier in the season, say what you want to say that you look better now than you did in week 1. Doesn't matter. You're independent. There's other teams. The way that the format is set up right now stupidly has allowed 2 group of 5 schools in. Notre Dame, if you want to be in a conference, that's probably going to be your better chance every year. If you want to stay independent, so long as you're 12-0 or 11-1, you're always going to be in the playoffs. But I think this year the committee had to punish them in some sort of way for not being in a conference. That's my honest view on it. That's my honest view. They're 10-2. They have somewhat of a good strength of schedule. It's not great, but they had a case. They had a case. In my opinion, they should have been in over JMU, but that's me. I mean, what do you think?
Uh, with how the system is set up, uh, with how the playoffs were, you knew that the 2 group of 5 schools were guaranteed because they chalk it up to having that Cinderella story. Yeah, they may be down 21, 21-point underdogs, but if they win, that's going to be big. That's going to be big money. I mean, JMU beating Oregon, that very very well could happen. Tulane beating Ole Miss. It's like these things could very well happen, and I think it's just having that.
Ole Miss beat them by
The thing.
35 earlier in the season, by the way.
Oh, okay. I mean, hey, that we see these Cinderella teams in March Madness, dropping, losing by 50, 60 by these 1-2 seeds in the regular season. Then they come back as a 15th seed, and then they go on to the Sweet 16. It's like and it makes for a good story, makes for good ratings. Probably gives them a lot of money as well.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point. The money point is the
I
only
think,
thing I can see.
yeah, and so I'm not saying that they deserve to be in, but with how the playoff system is set up, they are going to get in.
Yeah.
Because again, you kind of it's like, do you want the best 16 teams overall, or do you at least want to give these smaller schools a shot at least to have that Cinderella story? And I do like the idea of the play-in, like the bubble teams. Those last 2 spots, kind of do 4 teams. Notre Dame versus like Vandy, and then Miami versus BYU or something. If BYU didn't make the championship game, but you get the point. But
Yeah.
having those playing teams, and yeah, it's I think with Notre Dame as well, to your point, being independent is probably going to hurt them because again, you're not playing in that conference championship. You're not getting that extra game where it seems like that extra game, unless you're BYU, really is not going to affect you because if you win or lose, you're going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so I think whenever they lay down the rules for the 16-team playoff and see how that happens, I think it probably should be one of those where you still keep the group of 5. You keep the 2 group of 5 schools, but put them at a lower seed, obviously. And then, if you're expanding it to 16, then you get 4 teams. And the 4 teams in this situation would probably be Vandy, Notre Dame, BYU, and maybe Texas, Utah, probably USC maybe. For it'll be
USC
one of
was
those
right there.
schools. So I think, I mean, I don't think USC had a shot at making the 12. They had a 0% chance of making the 12 team, but
I'm saying if they expand it, which I think me and you, let's agree on something and then let's continue to disagree on something. Okay, the disagreement I know we're going to forever have is I don't think it should be expanded to 16. You believe it should be expanded to 16. And by the way, for those listening, if you do a 16-team playoff, there is no bye weeks, and it eliminates the purpose of a, in my opinion, of championship games. The only benefit of a championship game at that point is congrats, you're a conference champion, and you get home field advantage for the first round. There is no bye weeks in a 16-team playoff. But you do allow for the chance at more teams. That being said, I wish it would stay at 12. I know that they're discussing it going to a 16-team format. I think the issue, and to my surprise, when I was looking this up after our episode last week, I didn't know it was. I know it's been discussed. I guess I just didn't know it was as keenly discussed as it has been in the SEC and Big Ten. Those are the two. The only thing they disagree on is how it would be set up. But both of those, the SEC and the Big Ten, have brought up it can be moved to 16 team, but they disagree on how it would look. And unless there's an agreement by 2027, this thing's staying at 12 teams. So I don't know. We'll have to see. But Ben, can we agree on? Even though my personal belief is ultimately a team has not been truly screwed when, if we're going to be honest, those bottom 3 teams don't truly have a chance. But if we did agree on, who do we agree got screwed on most? I would say it's BYU. That's who I think truly got screwed the most in this 12-team format. I mean, Ben, who do you think this year got screwed the most?
Yeah, I mean, to go to the 16 team, it's like I think the 16 team playoff would be great. We don't know how the system's going to be set up. We don't know. Again, they're going to go over the rules, I think, the day after the national championship to discuss and lay out what the rules are. So we could have bye weeks, but we could not. So it's kind of remain to be seen on that and see how well the 16 team format looks. And maybe it'll take a year for it to be like, okay, think we might get this. But I have high hopes for it. But to talk about who got screwed the most, I probably will go BYU as well. It's either BYU or Notre Dame.
Notre
Because
Dame.
again, you look at yeah, Notre Dame, because they were in the playoffs last year. I mean, last week, and then they didn't play a game. Miami didn't play a game. And then the new rankings come out. Miami is ahead of Notre Dame, and so I can understand that sense of like, what the hell? Like, we both didn't do anything. Why are you punishing us? But I truly think it's BYU though, because like your 2 losses are to the same team, to Texas Tech, who's the number 3 team in the country, and I just feel like a 2 loss. And do I think BYU would have gone far? No, I mean, I don't think so. I don't think Notre Dame would have gone far,
Right.
Either. But it's still just you kind of set a bad precedent of of saying that. And so of doing something like that, allowing a 3-team loss in. But maybe this whole thing is just, hey, it's the last year of the 12th team. We're not going to have these issues with the 16 team, which you're definitely going to have issues with the 16 team, as well. I think every playoff format you're going to have, there's always going to be one team that's like, oh, we should have been in and all that. But I think it's probably a little less likely because, let's be real, like if it's a 16 team, I think that's a good, fair number. Whereas, I don't think the number 20th school ranked is like, oh man, we should have been in the playoffs. It's like, well, you're 20th for a reason.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think that's what I feel with the 12 team. But again, agree to disagree on that one. We'll see what happens.